guy sits on the subway by himself. No, like,
That's freaking awesome.
And that's Joe Rogan, a man who has sat across from virtually every A-lister alive, sounding genuinely shocked that a $350 million movie star decided to ride the subway. So what does that tell you about the system Keanu grew up inside? Because here's what nobody is connecting. Keanu Reeves didn't just choose to be humble. He was punished for it, blacklisted, written off, mocked, and told repeatedly that who he was wasn't good enough for Hollywood. And there is one man who watched all of it happen from the very first day. I've known Keanu since before either of us had anything. I watched this industry try to chew him up. What he did instead? That's the story nobody tells. He said that about being expelled from school. But Alex Winter will tell you he could have said it about his entire career, because Hollywood tried to get rid of Keanu Reeves not once, but over and over again. They attacked his name, they attacked his accent, they attacked his body, they cut his salary, they blacklisted him, and through every single one of those attacks, he never broke. But here's what nobody is connected.
It wasn't against any of the artists that were involved in the project, but at the time, I'm sure we've all had this kind of feeling sometimes when things just don't feel right, and that's how I was feeling.
He turned down $12 million for a feeling, and Hollywood made him pay for that decision for a decade. Alex Winter watched this man navigate all of it from the very first audition room they ever shared, and what he reveals paints a picture Hollywood never wanted the public to see. Let's go all the way back to the beginning, before Keanu Reeves became the internet's favorite real-life superhero, before John Wick, before Neo, before the viral subway videos. He was just a kid the world had already decided to throw away. His father walked out when Keanu was 3 years old. Gone. No goodbye. Just a man who chose heroin and prison over his own children. His mother Patricia raised 2 kids alone, working tirelessly as a costume designer, marrying and divorcing 4 different men along the way. Keanu's sister Kim put it plainly: how we lived our lives depended on the man of the moment. Think about that. Every few years, a new man in the house, a new set of rules, a new reason to feel like an outsider in your own home. His teachers noticed a vague sadness that loomed above him like a dark cloud. He bounced between 5 different high schools. He was expelled for being too rambunctious.
Keanu thinks he talked too much and was not generally the most well-oiled machine in the school.
Not broken, not dangerous, just too much, too loud, too restless, too alive for the mold they were pressing him into. And here is where Alex Winter enters the picture. The Hollywood of the mid-80s had a very narrow idea of what a leading man looked like. Keanu didn't fit that idea. Not his name, not his vibe, not his energy. And they made sure he knew it. Because when Keanu finally arrived in Hollywood in the mid-1980s, the very first thing the Gatekeepers did was go after his name. His agents told him his name was too ethnic. Keanu, a Hawaiian name meaning the coolness, the same name that would one day appear on marquees in 40 countries. Hollywood's Gatekeepers looked at that name and said, change it. And Keanu, being Keanu, actually considered it. He tried going by Casey Reeves, showed up to auditions, and when they called Casey, his body simply wouldn't respond. He went back to Keanu Reeves, and the Gatekeepers had no choice but to deal with it. But that was just round one. As Keanu started landing roles in the late 80s teen dramas, low-budget films, NBC movies of the week, Hollywood couldn't figure out what box to put him in. He was handsome but unconventional, likable but impossible to package, and that made the system deeply uncomfortable. Then director Stephen Herrick screened between 200 and 300 actors for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Alex Winter was cast as Bill, and Keanu walked in for Ted.
Keanu came in, he was one of the first. It was really kind of like, wow, he's Ted, and there was sort of a lovable goofiness to him.
Alex Winter has described that early period of working with Keanu as watching someone operate on a completely different frequency from everyone else in the room. Where other young actors were performing, strategizing, networking, managing their image, Keanu was just present, genuinely, almost confusingly present. The machine had no idea what to do with that, because the machine runs on ego and hunger, and Keanu simply didn't need any of it, which made him both magnetic and a target. Then came casting director Carrey, who saw exactly what Alex Winter already knew.
I walked in the door and I went, oh my God, this is my guy. It was just because of the way he held his body. His shoes were untied.
Shoes untied, not polished, not manufactured, just real. The thing the Hollywood machine spent years trying to sand off Keanu Reeves was the exact thing that made him magnetic to the people actually making the films. But as his career grew, the critical establishment decided to go to war with his image. Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992, grossed $82 million worldwide, a commercial success by any measure, and the critics made Keanu their target. One film writer put him on a list of 50 performances that ruined movies. His English accent was called one of the worst in the history of recorded film.
Yes, of course, sir. If I may inquire,
What in fact happened to Mr. Renfield in Transylvania?
Alex Winter has been candid about watching that media pylon from the inside. I watched the press go after Keanu in a way that had nothing to do with his performance and everything to do with wanting him to know his place. They needed him to fail because someone who couldn't be controlled was dangerous to them. Was the accent perfect? No. Was it a career-ending crime? Absolutely not. But the machinery needed a narrative. And mediocre Keanu was a convenient one. He was nominated for a Razzie, written off. By the early 90s, by Hollywood's own scorecard, his career was on life support. But the Gatekeepers made one critical mistake. They had no idea what Keanu Reeves was actually willing to sacrifice. Here is what separates Keanu Reeves from virtually every other actor who ever walked through Hollywood's doors. When the system squeezed most people, they performed. They paid the toll. They traded pieces of themselves for access and approval. Keanu did the opposite. Keanu has never once made a decision based on what the industry wanted from him. Every major choice in his career was made entirely on his own terms, even when it cost him millions. That's not a strategy. That's a value system. The devil's advocate, Al Pacino, needed to be in it. Pacino had turned the role down 3 times. The production was stuck. Keanu voluntarily took a pay cut worth millions of dollars so the budget could accommodate Pacino's salary demands. He gave up his own money, so someone else could have the best possible version of the film. Not for a credit, not for a favor, just because it was the right thing for the project. That is a value system, not a business strategy. Then there was speed. The studio wanted Keanu to wear a wig. The director wanted him to shave his head. Keanu said fine to both and spent 2 months in the gym filling out his frame to satisfy everyone else's conflicting demands about his own body.
The thing with Keanu is that he looks very boyish. I didn't want him to be like a kid, and he loves to be like a kid.
Alex Winter has described the speed era as the moment the industry finally had to admit Keanu was a box office force. $350 million is a hard number to argue with, but Hollywood's response to Keanu's success was not celebration. It was a test. They came to him immediately with $12 million and a sequel, Speed 2, Cruise Control, and Keanu said no.
It wasn't against any of the artists that were involved in the project, but at the time, I'm sure we've all had this kind of feeling sometimes when things just don't feel right, and that's how I was feeling. Because
I knew Keanu well enough to know that decision wasn't about money. It was never about money with him. He looked at that project and something in him said no, and he trusted that. Most people in this industry would have taken the $12 million and figured out the feeling later. Keanu doesn't work that way. $12 million, and he trusted a feeling. Hollywood's response was swift and merciless. He was blacklisted from 20th Century Fox for an entire decade. Not for scandal, not for misconduct, not for anything except refusing to do a project that didn't feel right. That is the gatekeeper system completely exposed. Fall in line or we close every door. And Keanu Reeves looked at every closed door and kept walking. Here is the part of this story that almost never gets told. While Hollywood was blacklisting Keanu and building a decade-long media narrative about him being a mediocre actor, his personal life was quietly, devastatingly falling apart. In 1999, the same year The Matrix was released, Keanu and his girlfriend Jennifer Syme were expecting their first child together, a daughter. She was stillborn. 8 months in, they found out on Christmas Eve. The grief fractured their relationship. Jennifer suffered severe postnatal depression. They eventually separated, but remained close, were reportedly on the verge of reconnecting. And then in 2001, Jennifer was killed in a car accident, one day after she had met with Keanu. Alex Winter, as one of Keanu's oldest friends in the industry, has been among the few people who understood what this period actually cost him. Keanu processed grief differently from anyone I'd ever known. Not loudly, not publicly, not in a way the industry could package or profit from. He just went inward and came out the other side somehow more generous, not less. Let's account for what Keanu had lived through by his late 30s. Father gone before he had a single memory of the man. His closest friend, River Phoenix, dead at 23. A daughter who never breathed, then Jennifer. The Hollywood machine busy writing hit pieces about his accent was operating on an entirely different planet from the one Keanu was actually living on. Yet he never became what the system wanted him to become. Never became bitter. Never weaponized his pain. Instead, quietly, without a single public announcement, he built a private cancer foundation.
I don't like to attach my name to it, I just let the foundation do what it does.
That's the thing about Keanu that people on the outside can never quite believe. The version of him you see in viral videos and internet stories is not a performance. There is no gap. The public Keanu and the private Keanu are the same person. What you see is what there is. He ran a private cancer foundation for years, helping children's hospitals and funding cancer research, before anyone in the public even knew it existed. existed. No press release, no charity gala, no PR cycle, just help given quietly to people who needed it. That is the clearest possible answer to the question this video has been asking since the first second. What do you do when Hollywood tries to buy your soul? You give it away to the people who actually need it. Now, let's be honest about something, because this channel doesn't deal in mythology. The story the internet loves about Keanu donating 70% of his Matrix salary to charity, his own publicist confirmed it isn't true. But here's what's remarkable. The internet ran with it anyway, for years, enthusiastically, because it sounded exactly like something he would do. The reason people believe every generous Keanu story, verified or not, is because they've already seen enough of the real ones to know the legend isn't far off. And the real ones are extraordinary, because what is confirmed, documented, reported, verified is this. When The Matrix made Keanu genuinely wealthy, he looked at the people who had taken the falls, absorbed the hits, and put their bodies in danger while he got the screen credit. And he took care of them. The Matrix Reloaded stunt team, every single member received a brand new Harley-Davidson motorcycle, personally given by Keanu, not a bonus check through an accountant. A woman struggling with a heavy bag boards the train. Keanu points to his seat. She sits. He stands. 42 million views. A $350 million movie star riding the subway, giving up his seat. No cameras set up in advance. No PR team in tow. No narrative crafted in a boardroom. That's just Tuesday for him. That's not a moment Keanu prepared. That's just Keanu existing in the world. And that right there is what the gatekeeper system could never understand, never manufacture, and never take away from him. Because here is what Keanu understood at some point, through all of the loss and all of the attacks, that the system's entire power depends on people wanting what it's selling. The status, the validation, the lifestyle, the approval of the powerful. Once you stop wanting those things, they have nothing to offer you. And Keanu Reeves never wanted what they were selling. Someone once asked Keanu Reeves what he thought happens when we die. Most celebrities reach for something polished in that moment, something quotable, something their publicist could frame for a press cycle. Keanu paused and said 7 words. 7 words.
I know that the ones who love us will miss us.
No framework, no monologue, no manufactured soundbite for the press. Just truth, simple, human, painful. I've spent decades in this industry. I've watched it chew people up and spit out something unrecognizable on the other side. Keanu is the only person I know who came through all of it. The attacks, the losses, the blacklists, and came out the other side more himself, not less. That's not luck, that's character. Hollywood's gatekeeper system exists to make you want things. It builds a world where your name can be too ethnic, your accent too foreign, your body not strong enough, your gut worth less than a paycheck. That is not Hollywood's version of a good actor. That is not the industry's version of a celebrity. That is just a great human being. If this hit you somewhere real, drop a comment. Tell me which moment landed hardest. And if you're not subscribed yet, you already know what to do. See you in the next one.